everyone? Welcome to Third Shot Podcast. We've got another wonderful episode in store for you all. But before we get into it, please go to your social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or X. You can find us at Third Shot Podcast. On X, though, we're at Third Shot Pod. And if you want to watch us, which I highly recommend, go to YouTube and search up Third Shot Podcast, and we'll be there. So grab your drinks. I think everyone should be drinking along with us if you don't already do so. And we're going to do a little toast
Yes.
to Third Shot.
Cheers, Brigie.
Cheers.
How have you been? I haven't talked to you since we left Vegas.
I know that was a lot of fun. I always enjoy when you and the family come and visit, and it feels like I get a little bit of a vacation just because y'all are here and we get to do fun things.
And we get to eat. We got it on.
Yeah, so I was able to try what is it called? Brazilian steakhouse.
Brazilian Steakhouse. We did it
Yeah,
for
fogo de chao.
yes, Amanda's graduation. That was a lot of fun.
Yes, and a big congratulations to her because she's on to the next step of her life,
Yeah,
getting
it's
a
exciting.
master's, right?
That's right. It's exciting. It's exciting. So we will definitely have updates on what's up in the next stage of her life as we kind of move forward. But today we're kind of talking team sports. Like in pickleball, usually we're talking singles or we're talking doubles. We don't get a chance to talk team a lot of times. But today we're going to talk team. And I'm just curious, you've grown up playing team sports your whole life. Like, what is it that you really enjoy about team sports?
I really love that you have like the support system, the camaraderie that comes with playing a team sport. And I think that there's like an extra little bit of a challenge because not only do you need to think about yourself and your opponent, but you also have to think about yourself and how you are a piece of a team and have to work with other people. So I think it's a little bit more challenging. There's a little bit more strategy. You have to figure out what your teammates' strengths are and how to play to those strengths so that as a unit you can beat the other team. But you're right. I don't know if I've ever played a single person sport. I've done track, which is
Yeah.
like a single person sport, but that you're also a part of a team. Like you have to earn points for your overall team
Yeah.
score. So
I find it interesting what you're saying, like you have to play to your teammates' strengths and stuff. And you were a big soccer player, and that was kind of your I don't know, should I say it's your best sport? It was you're really good. Yeah, I mean, you're
thank
really good
you.
at softball. I mean, but you're fantastic at soccer. And how much did you like know who to pass to in certain situations to kind of take advantage of the competition and what their weaknesses were?
Yeah, it's something that like I think growing up you don't really put much conscious effort into it. Like I'm not out there labeling people as like you're somebody I can pass to, you're somebody not. But I
Okay.
think with that when you practice with those teammates, you kind of start gaining that understanding of in what situations who is the better option. Um Speed also, like in soccer you kind of have to time your pass so that it reaches a person in time, similar to like if you were playing football and you had to throw a ball to them, you kind of know what your teammates speed
Right.
level is and you adjust how hard you're kicking it or throwing it based off of that. So it's a lot that goes into it, but I wouldn't say you put like much thought into it aside from just the practicing piece.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I bet you have so many reps in practice that when you're in a match, it kind of comes natural. Like you already know, how far to lead somebody. You know kind of what their limitations are, so you're not going to push them beyond that limitation. It just happens all in practice, or it should happen all in practice, so that when you're in the match, you're in a game, it comes more naturally. So you're not thinking because if you're thinking, obviously, you're hesitating
Not
a little
enough
bit.
time.
That's
Yeah,
right,
definitely.
and then it's a weakness of yours if you're thinking too much, right? It should just need to come naturally. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
bet you it just naturally happens, but you didn't even
That's
realize it was happening because your coaches did such a good job during practices.
yeah, and I think that's why the practice piece of it is so important is because you need that time to get used to how your other players play. But
Yeah.
you grew up playing both team sports and individual sports like golf and bowling.
Yeah.
What do you see as like the benefits of being on a team versus an individual sport?
I just have to thank you for considering bowling a sport. But yes, I
Exactly.
yes, I did grow up bowling a lot on teams, playing golf as an individual and on teams. Right, I was on a high school team, and you know, and then I played a lot of team sports like baseball, softball, football, basketball, all the team sports. I have to say, I like team sports much better than individual sports. And even in the individual sports where I was a golfer or bowler, for example, I enjoy team formats.
Mm,
So if it was a team match in golf where you would have a partner and you're playing alternate shots or you're playing a scramble with all four players, I really enjoyed those types of formats because it kind of puts a little extra focus for me because it wasn't just me messing up. If I was messing, I was like hurting the team. So it made me really zone in even more. And, my personality, I'm very supportive. I try to be very supportive as a
you
teammate.
are.
So that I think it really comes through in team sports more than an individual sport because who am I going to pump up myself, right? Go Greg, yeah, you got this, right? So it wasn't as fun. So I really enjoyed team environment, even when it's an individual sport like bowling or golf. Bowling is fun in a team environment because literally on every shot, whenever they throw a strike or a spare, they're coming back, you're high-fiving, you're fist pumping, you're pumping each other up, you're cheering. So, especially in tournaments, bowling was really fun. I love bowling tournaments.
I don't think I've ever been in a bowling tournament. I've just always gone with friends, but even when you go with friends, you kind of feel that same type of team atmosphere, like how you mentioned they're all cheering for you when you throw a
Yeah.
strike or a spare. But it's funny that you mentioned the pressure because I was going to ask you, do you feel more pressure when you're a part of a team because now you can let the team down, or do you feel more pressure individual because it's only you out there and you don't have teammates to kind of pick up if you're slacking in some areas?
Okay, so there's 2 answers to that. When I'm playing, let's say, baseball or football or basketball, I don't feel any additional pressure when I'm in a team like that because everybody's on the team. I don't know. I just don't feel any pressure in that situation. It's like if I got the shot, I'm going to take the shot. If I'm going to throw the pass, I'm going to throw the pass. Whatever the case is, I really didn't feel anything extra because I don't know. It's just kind of a team sport. But when you're playing an individual sport as part of a team, I do feel more pressure. So in golf and bowling, everybody's just kind of watching you in that moment, right? You're hitting the
Yeah,
shot, you're throwing the ball, right? So it's a different environment. So you do feel a different a pressure because you know your team's kind of counting on you and they're all watching you at that moment when you're taking the shot or you're throwing the ball down the lane or rolling it and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. I like it
it
though.
is.
It makes me better. I usually play some of my best rounds of golf or bowl some of my best games when I am on a team. Did I ever tell you? And I probably have, but I probably haven't told the audience yet. But I won a very large bowling tournament and when I was younger that literally paid for my wedding.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I mean, it was a doubles tournament in Reno, and the top prize was $25,000 for, 2 people, right? So,
Mhm.
it was one of those qualifiers that you had to go to, and then the top 10 teams got invited back for the finals, and we made it to the top 10, and we landed up winning, but it was a 5-game finals, and we were in the 5th game, and we were in the lead. We knew we were in the lead after 4 games because they kinda kept a tally of where everybody was. So we were in the lead going in 4th game. We were doing really well in the 5th game, and then I throw a split in the 9th frame, and I'm going, "Oh, no. Did I just blow this for us?" So I was stepping up, and again, talking about the pressure, I'm feeling the pressure, like, literally, it's in the bowling stadium in Reno, so there's a bunch of people watching, And there's 100 lanes at this bowling alley, but there's only like 10 lanes lit up for this match, and everybody's watching. At this moment, they see me throw the split. So I step up there and I throw the best shot of my life. I I actually picked up the split. The
No way. That's the hardest split to pick out.
No, I mean, it was crazy, and, like, everybody's screaming. I walk back, people I don't know is slapping me on the butt. They're like, "Oh my gosh, great shot," and stuff like that. I'm like, it was amazing, and then I step up in the 10th frame, and it was one of those, like, moments from a movie where you roll the ball, and it feels like there's no other noise except for the bowling ball rolling down the river, woof, 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 going down, and I got the strike, and in that moment, I knew we had just won the tournament,
Oh,
and
that's so
it was
exciting.
it was the best. It was literally the coolest moment. And then, yeah, the prize money I used towards the wedding, and, that's how me and Auntie got married.
Well, it was a great wedding you threw. I was there and it was
Yeah,
so fun.
it
And
was.
also, I didn't realize that there was butt slapping in bowling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought that was a baseball thing. Yikes.
Yeah, there's all types of celebration. There's the jump and you just hit chests, right? There's the high fives, there's the fist pumps, there's the low fives, and then there's the butt slaps. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I guess it
The
depends who
butt
you're bowling
slaps.
with.
That's true. So I got another question for you because you mentioned in bowling that you had a partner and it was doubles.
Yeah.
Does doubles count as a team sport, or is there like a third category where you have individual, team, and then doubles?
Well, that's true. So there are tournaments where it's a five-person team, and then there's tournaments where there's doubles, and then there's tournaments that are singles. So doubles is kind of in between.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think so too.
Yeah. It's like when you and I play doubles, I consider us a team.
That's true. We're team third shot.
We're team third shot. But it's not like Major League Pickleball. MLP has
Mm,
teams, and that kind of
they
leads us
do.
into today's guest. We have the owner and coach of the Bay Area Breakers, my home team. So I'm excited, and your roots here in the Bay Area. So you're probably rooting for the Bay Area Breakers as well. So we have Geoff Nguyen as well as Scott Crandall be joining us. And as we bring them in, please take this opportunity to go to our social media and subscribe, like, do all the things that we ask you to do, and we appreciate you doing. Give us comments on social media. So that is Instagram, Facebook at Third Shot Podcast, on X, Third Shot Pod, YouTube, Third Shot Podcast, and on our website, www.thirdshotpodcast.com. Bridgie and I are so excited to have two very special guests with us today. Geoff Nguyen, the owner or part of the ownership group of the Bay Area Breakers, as well as Scott Crandall, the head coach of the Bay Area Breakers. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Thanks so much for joining us. And we can't wait to find out more of the behind the scenes that goes into the planning and the playing and all the decision making. But before we get into it, we're going to do a little toast to the Bay Area Breakers.
Let's
All right.
go, Breakers.
Cheers.
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 Being a Bay Area guy my whole life, Bridgie growing up in the Bay Area, most of her life, we are big Breakers fans.
Yes. And I have to say, the logo is pretty nice too. I like it.
I was so
So
bummed when we didn't win the logo tournament that happened last season. Were you following that logo tournament?
I did, and
No.
I missed
They
it.
put
Yeah.
all the teams. They put all the logos in. It kind of went round by round, and I thought we were going to win because it was so good. But I forget who won. Doesn't really matter. They had a decent logo, whoever it was.
Yeah, I thought we were going to win for sure, but I feel like it was Arizona Drive that ended up winning that, right?
No, gosh, I would hope it would be Orlando Squeeze. I feel like their logo was pretty good. If it was Arizona Drive, then it was.
So now we're off to this topic, and I have a comment about this. So Orlando Squeeze totally makes sense. Bay Area Breakers totally makes sense. The SoCal Hard Eights, like Hard Eights is a gambling term. It's it's the rolling dice. There's not a lot of dice throwing in Southern California. I mean, the casinos are with Bridgie in Vegas, so I don't get where the Hard Eights come from.
I mean, you'd have to ask them, but I would say if you knew the ownership group of the Hard Eights, you would understand.
Oh, okay.
Hmm,
Okay.
little
Gotcha.
insight. So, for the two of you, we like to get started just by hearing about everyone's backgrounds and how they even got started in the world of pickleball.
Want to go first, Scott?
I started pickleball first. I used to play tennis with. I had a nice little tennis group from like I don't know 2010 all the way through 2018. Played like twice a week, totally into it. And part of that group, like Gabriel Joseph was in that group, Jesse Irvin's in that group, I'm in there, Julio Rivera, another like senior pro who's turned big into pickleball now. So it's funny how like our little tennis group, someone told us about this thing called pickleball. They mentioned to Jesse that she could actually make money. They didn't say anything to the guys because she was a better tennis player than us already, a better pickleball player than us too. But like once she found out there was money in it, the next day went and got paddles, went to Big Five and got the, that Onyx Z5 or whatever that thing that Loon played with forever. And just figured out the game in late 2018 and just started playing, immediately started playing tournaments. Gabriel Joseph and I probably played, 15 or 20 tournaments together before he kind of went pro in singles. And I turned 50 shortly after that and went senior pro. And then don't have to play the 20-year-olds anymore. So that was great for me. The place where we used to practice at this park in Pasadena, we would go and it was a party every time we played. And then that's where I met Geoff. Geoff was getting into the game around that time. And so we met at this park where we'd all practice.
Yeah, I think it was right before the whole COVID situation happened. A friend of mine, his name is Mark, introduced me to pickleball. His mother-in-law actually taught him how to play pickleball. And he and I had always talked about tennis, but we never got around to it. But eventually he would introduce me to the game of pickleball. We would go out to the park that Scott was just talking about out in Pasadena. And we just, learned how to play the game. But eventually what ended up happening was all of the parks in Los Angeles County ended up getting shut down or closed because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have a place to play. So what I ended up doing was I rented a place out in Tarzana nearby, which had a tennis court. And then what we did was we taped pickleball lines on the tennis court, and Scott, Jesse, Gabe, myself, and Mark, and some other friends.
Jeff Warnick was a frequent customer at Jeff's Airbnb house every weekend.
We went out there every weekend and just had a couple of pickleball courts out there and played for 6 or 7 months during that shutdown. And
yeah, that's the way to be resourceful, right? I mean, there's no stopping once you got the bug, right? You're gonna find a way to play. It's funny because one of the people that we've had before, which probably Scott, Alex Simon, he played over in the NPL with you. He was telling us that he went over to Hong Kong and kind of proactively they would just go out and tape anywhere on the streets, any warehouse they could find, because they don't have a lot of pickleball courts out there. And he was doing his own little lessons, but literally they would have to make their own courts wherever they went.
I did that also when COVID hit and everything shut down. I was still pretty new. I didn't really have a name yet. I had never won anything. And so I'm just kind of teaching lessons and stuff. And I would find the parks nearby, the basketball courts, right? They took the rims off of the basketball courts, so no one could play basketball. So I would use that. And one of my clients, she would bring sidewalk chalk, and we would chalk out a court, and I would just give lessons on a park basketball court. So yeah, people were getting creative. Just playing wherever you could find a flat surface.
Well, Geoff, this question is for you. I mean, it's a big jump from taping off tennis courts to actually becoming a part owner of an MPL team. How did that whole transition happen?
So MLP team, Major League Pickleball. But so, we had so much fun every weekend playing at that house out in Tarzana that I decided to find some land out here in Arcadia and I built, I think a lot of people know of it as the courts at Piccadilly. So I have 4 courts in my backyard. And, pickleball just became a huge part of my life, and everybody's always here playing with us. And I think it was from that I was introduced to Richie Toisan, who is the owner of the California Black Bears. And at that time, MLP was going through their first expansion or their second expansion, and they were looking to add teams. And so Richie had told me about that, and it was just something that I really wanted to do. I've always wanted to own a sports team. So I attempted to bid to buy a team on my own, but that ended up not working out because the league was really looking for somebody that could be of more influence and that can help spread the sport of pickleball. So at that time, one of my friends actually knew Jeremy Lin, and she introduced me to Jeremy Lin and his sister. And from, I had a conversation with him and talked to him about pickleball, and it turns out Jeremy Lin is a pickleball player. He loves playing pickleball, and he does it, every time he's home in town with his brothers. And so I approached the league again with Jeremy Lin, and they still declined me again. But Richie knew I really wanted to be a part of it and offered to sell me a part of, at the time, the Jackrabbits. And so Jeremy Lin and I kind of bought into the Jackrabbits. We renamed it to the Bay Area Breakers, and that's where we are now.
Well, congratulations. That's an amazing story. And, being, again, a big sports fan and a Bay Area guy, I've been a Jeremy Lin fan ever since his Warrior days, way before the Linsanity broke out in New York. So, he went to high school in the Bay Area, and he made a name for himself. So it's great to see him part of your group, and good guy, real good guy.
Yes, he is.
And Scott, you played in the NPL last season, which is pretty darn cool to have a coach that's also played in the same league. What was your experience like being a part of it, and how has being a player now helped you with your coaching strategies?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I did play in NPL last season, which is the senior pro version of team pickleball. But even before then, the very first MLP, the very first draft, they had however many owners there were. I don't know if there were 12 teams or so, but they assigned a person to be a GM and draft for them. So I drafted one of the very first teams in MLP. And it's like, that process is so fun. And this 2 men and 2 women format of MLP is just like, it turned out to be so exciting that as much as I enjoyed playing NPL last season, it's like coaching and like following an MLP team was more exciting. And so this year I had to kind of make a choice. A lot of the weekends are similar or too close that I couldn't do both. And I just chose, I enjoy MLP so much. Coaching MLP is just so much fun. And just kind of having your hands in there at the top of the game with these players is too tempting to pass up. So I've really have enjoyed that process the whole time from the very first draft.
Yeah, so unfortunately for MPL, they don't have Scott as a player anymore, but fortunately for the Bay Area Breakers and Major League Pickleball, Scott is now the full-time head coach for our team.
That is so cool. And I apologize for us always getting NPL.
Yeah,
MLP,
I mixed it up.
we're just
Thank you.
messing it up. I apologize. Obviously, we follow the NPL because our relationship with Alex Simon and Carol Rolls over there at the OKC Punishers. And then obviously we're Bay Area Breakers fans for the MLP. So we are going to get it straight. Maybe these drinks will probably hurt us and we'll mess it up again, but we apologize in advance. I'm curious, Scott, this question is for you. Like, what do you take as a player at a high level into coaching, and like, what does coaching involve? What's involved in coaching a team like the Breakers? Because obviously the 4 players you have are fantastic players, high level. What goes into the actually coaching process?
Well, it's been different every season. It's like, so far we've had our first season was a challenger level team, and we drafted that team. And then the next season we did a premier level team. And then now we're doing a challenger level team. And the level those levels are significantly different. The challenger team, I feel like I have a little more leeway, a little more, I don't know how to say it, a little more coaching to do where I can be helpful. Whereas with Premier, it's like some of these people are already pretty finely tuned. They may already have their own coaches. Not that they are not receptive to feedback, but it's like, I have to be a little more discerning with how I coach a Premier player versus a challenger player. But how receptive players are, we take that into account when we're drafting. It's like, it's not just ranking the best players, it's also ranking how good of a team player will this person be, how well did they get along with the people we've already drafted, and it's like you kind of have to put the whole package into place as you put your pieces. And so drafting is extremely strategic, and so how you draft will affect how effectively you can coach. This season in particular, we I knew the girls that we drafted, like Vivian Glosman, and Rachel Recker, were both like very good friends. The guys, Colin Schick and PK, it's like didn't really know those two at all. Know they're great players, but so in this case, I know I have, since they're local, I'm able to work with the girls a lot. And like prior to the first match, we were playing, 4 or 5 hours practice sessions 3 or 4 times a week. We put in a lot of time. And it was really great to see Rachel Recker play like the best I've ever seen her play. And that's not just me being biased. I think a lot of people have acknowledged that. She was amazing. Vivian's always amazing. She's just a great player, but it was really cool to see all the work we put in coaching and how receptive the girls were to kind of improving each practice session. It really kind of paid off. So just traditional, just putting in the work coaching with, in this case, because the girls were local, we were able to do that. But it was great to see it pay off in the very first weekend, the very first event. So really, really happy with that, how that went.
Yeah, and Scott is kind of really only talking about the behind the scenes coaching that you're seeing, but part of the reason why we chose Scott and hired him onto our team was he's probably one of the best X and O's coaches out there. And during the game and game time, decisions can actually really affect the outcome of the matches. And you saw that just in the first event in Atlanta, where we won our first match. It was a little shaky. Second match, we actually lost, but from that match, we learned a lot, made a lot of adjustments for the next few, and won the next 4 matches. We went 5-1, and we're number 1 in the standings currently.
Do you mind sharing like what you saw and how you adjusted to it? I mean, are we getting into the secret sauce here? I don't want to mess anything up, but
I wouldn't get like it wasn't like too detailed. It was really the because I hadn't really seen or met the guys on our team and hadn't seen them play much, and so haven't really been able to work with them. That day 1 where we played 2 matches, okay, I got to see them play. I got to, we talked during matches, and like if I would say something, it's like, were they making adjustments that we talked about? And on day 1, I didn't feel like, okay, I didn't exactly see the adjustments that I wanted to see. So kind of had a talk with them prior to our first match the next day, and just having the opportunity to talk to them and say, hey, let's try this instead of that a little more. Let's slow things down a little more against these guys. And let's kind of be very specific about hitting some of these spots against this particular team on Friday morning, and being able to talk to them about that and then watch them go and do that. And then even during the match, I asked, I'm like, do you see how it's working? And they both were like, yeah, cool. And then you get buy-in from them. And so now once you get buy-in from your players, it's like, okay, we can really do some good stuff now.
Well, that's some good secret sauce, because it sounds like it's working if y'all are in first place right now. You had mentioned earlier about the importance of the drafting process, and that's something that Uncle and I have always been really interested in and kind of wondered what it looked like from the behind the scenes perspective. Can you share with us what draft day looks like for the teams?
Oh, yeah. Draft day could be pretty hectic. I think Scott and I have always approached the draft the same, where he would evaluate players and kind of make a stack rank the players just based on his opinion. I would do the same, and we wouldn't influence each other's kind of thoughts on every player and kind of where we rank them. And then we would come together before the actual draft and talk about why we thought how we felt about each player. Scott gave me his ideas, I gave him some of mine, and we would come to some sort of a consensus. And then on draft day, I think it's pretty crazy because you never know what any other team is, going to do. We don't know if they're targeting the same players that we are. I can tell you that, this year for this draft, we did know that we wanted to try to draft Vivian Glausman if we could. So in order to accomplish that, we did need to execute a trade with one of the other teams that had a higher draft position than we did. And we had to take a later second round draft pick, but we ended up doing a pretty good job, I think.
Yeah, you got a strong team. Well, tell everybody who's on your team this year.
Yeah, so our first pick was Vivian Glausman, and then our second pick was Colin Schick. Third pick was Rachel Retker. And then for the fourth round, we picked Patrick Kafka.
Yeah. We know Patrick from Vegas.
Oh, that's right. He is from the area. Yeah.
There's some connections out here. His one of his trainers that he works closely with, I had gone to school with and worked with at the university. So small world.
Yeah. So curious from both your points of view, what did you learn from last season that you wanted to kind of change for this season? Whether it's team makeup, whether it's coaching, whether it's the business side of it. I'm just curious, as a business person myself, you learn, right? You evolve, you figure out what didn't work, what does work. You kind of go with what does, right? You fix what doesn't. What did you guys learn from last season that you addressed this season?
Okay, so I think Scott should address, the team dynamic and what we tried to accomplish with that going into this season. I'll talk about the business side of it.
Sure, go for it.
Well, there is a big difference putting challenger teams together versus premier teams, because the premier pool of players is kind of a known thing. Like everyone kind of knows who those 48 people are going to be, and they all know each other. And it's like picking a premier team. It's very important that you put people together that know each other, like each other, can play well together in the sandbox, and it's like that dynamic for premier, super important. With challenger, I think it's just more about knowing, like it's tougher to rank the talent once you get past the number 25 guy and 25 girl. Evaluating 26 through 50, that is much harder to put a nail on. That we're talking about ranges there. And so now you're just like, I want to get the most talented people at the spot that I'm drafting. And then all the time you still have to feel like, okay, am I putting a good women's team together, left side person, right side person? And then are these men good at mixed? Are these men good at all three disciplines? It's like, I think we've always had the strategy that we like good singles players. If so many of these matches go to Dream Breakers, and if you're going to a Dream Breaker, you're going to kind of want some tough singles players. You might have to give up a little in doubles if you're going to get strong singles, but you have all of these competing, not competing priorities, but you have all these things you have to think of at the same time, and prioritizing them with talent is kind of the fun and the challenge of it. Everyone has a different opinion. I think all the different challenger owners have different evaluations of all these people, and that's like whereas I think in Premier, most people you'll get more agreement on who's better than who. In Premier, in Challenger, it's all over the place. So it's like you just kind of evaluate your talent the way Geoff sort of described. We both kind of make our lists, and then we have kind of a drafting text thread that has about 6 million messages, kind of doing our homework. It is really endless, the amount of text that go back and forth on players and research. But you kind of go for the talent and then fit it in kind of the categories of, can they play all three disciplines? Will they get along with these people? And then you just kind of put your pieces together there.
Yeah, and if I do say so myself, we did draft a really good Dream Breaker team. We won 3 of the Dream Break. Well, we had 3 Dream Breakers and won all 3 of them.
We set a record that will never be broken. Also,
What is the record?
21-4.
We won a Dream Breaker 21-4 in rally scoring. So
Yeah.
Nice.
That one,
Yeah.
I'll stake the reputation and everything else that.
Yeah. Each player lost only 1 point.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, Geoff, on the business side, what did you learn from the last season that you brought into this season, or you changed this season?
Right. So, Major League Pickleball is fairly new. So last year, the year prior, it's just a matter of trying to understand the business. And I think this year, going into 2024, our goal as an organization is obviously to find a way to monetize, right? Mm-hmm. Because in order for us to keep up with operational costs, league fees, and player costs and all of that, we have to, as a business, generate revenue. So on the business side, our focus this year, sponsorships, other revenue streams. We're looking at putting on events locally to engage our local fans. We are the Bay Area Breakers. We have a market in the Bay Area. We signed a licensing agreement with the Hub, to where the Hub in Alameda is now the home of the Bay Area Breakers. And so that's going to be the home facility in which we are going to be competing in, training in whenever we can. And we'll be hosting, events such as the one that's coming up this weekend, our grand opening at the Hub. And we're going to be hosting the SoCal Heart Aids in an exhibition match. So just putting on events like that. We're hosting clinics at the facility. Other sources of revenue for us. We have a whole new merch line coming out next week, which we're going to debut at the grand opening also. But that's basically our focus this year as an organization, to 1, win as a team, and 2, generate revenue through these various streams.
Well, Uncle, can you please go and get us some merchandise?
I'm planning on going to the event on Saturday for sure. I'll be there.
Excellent. Well, Uncle will be there. He'll pick me up something, and I will be there in spirit. But you and your team have already accomplished so much. What is one thing that you two are most excited about for this upcoming season?
For me personally, I think the format is something I'm really enjoying. It's more similar to, a basketball season, NBA, or similar to other major league sports, where you have an entire season in which you compete in a regular season, and your overall record will determine whether or not you make the playoffs, and then you would play the playoffs at the end of the year. So I'm really enjoying that format, and I think just kind of looking forward to doing well in the playoffs, because I expect to be there.
Yep, you'll get there. Scott, what are you looking forward to this year?
One of the things I'm looking forward to, in the mid-season tournament, I don't know if the general population of pickleball enthusiasts who follow MLP know this, because it hasn't happened before, but that mid-season tournament, the premier teams will play against some of the challenger teams, right? And you would think, well, it's not really a fair fight. However, it's the bottom of the premier draft and the top of the challenger draft is there's some overlap there. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how competitive those matches can be. It's because once that gets started, and if it gets close, the premier teams, they'll get super nervous if they're about to lose to a challenger team. And there's so much pressure in MLP already. Just throwing that on top of whoever the bottom premier team is, what they're playing the best challenger team, whoever that might be. There's a lot of good challenger teams. We might be number 1 in the rankings, but there are some solid players and teams out there. There's a few that haven't even played yet, so we don't even know how good they are. But check out that mid-season tournament could be very exciting when that premier and challenger go head to head, which I think there will be several of those head-to-head matches happening. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out.
Yeah, whenever the underdog is hanging tight with whoever the favorite is, the favorite tends to get a little tight. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I can't wait. When is the mid-season tournament? Let's plug that.
I want to say that's in July, right? We can look that up really quick. But I believe it's July 12th, maybe earlier.
Okay. And while you're looking that up, plug again the event this weekend at the Hub in Alameda.
Yes, definitely. Hopefully everybody can come out to it. We are going to be hosting the grand opening of our home venue in Alameda. It's at the Hub in Alameda. And it will take place on May 24th through the 27th. And during that time, the 24th, we're going to be hosting a clinic. And on the 25th, we're going to be hosting the SoCal Heart Eights in an exhibition match that will be broadcasted via the MLP channel and the Breakers channel on YouTube. So make sure if you're not able to join us live for free, make sure you do watch us online. And it's going to be a full production. The match is going to be reffed and everything. So we're really excited about it.
And that's SoCal Heart Eights team. That's a good team. They have Eric Lang. They have Purple Jesus. They have Irina Tereshchenko, the MLP GOAT, and then Christine Maddox. So we have our hands full. We're in first place, but I think they're right behind us. And so this will be fun because I like it when two of the top teams get to play against each other, because this is not going to be a hit and giggle. We're going to be going for it. And as a coach, I enjoy seeing how we kind of match up against a team we haven't played before. They did very well last weekend, just as we did. So it'll be good to see kind of, once you throw them out there, what happens.
And where can viewers watch it, the streaming of it?
It's going to be on the MLP YouTube channel and on the Breakers YouTube channel. So you can tune in there to watch it.
Perfect.
And I believe it starts at 11 o'clock on Saturday. Correct. Is that correct? Yep.
Yeah, 11 a.m. on Saturday, May 25th.
So if you're going to the event, I highly advise you getting there early, just because of traffic, parking, all that kind of stuff. Get there early, get your seat. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of interaction going on. So, get there early and enjoy yourself. It's going to be a great event. I can't wait to see it myself.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing both of you. I'll definitely come up and wave through the crowd and go, "Hey, it's me, it's me."
I know those guys.
We just talked. And then, Scott, did you get a chance to look up the date for the mid-season tournament?
Yeah, the mid-season tournament, July 10th through 14th in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It kind of piggybacks on the Beer City Open. It's the same location the Beer City Open happens. So I think the MLP event happens, and then I think the week after the Beer City Open happens. So that's when that mid-season tournament is going down, and that's just kind of a new MLP idea. So
it's kind of like the NBA, right? They just started the mid-season tournament, and it was a big success from everything that I hear. So I think it's going to be a success for pickleball as well.
Yeah, that is where the concept came from.
Yeah, makes sense. It totally makes sense. Well, on that note, let's get another drink ready, and let's toast to the season for the Bay Area Breakers.
Yes,
go get
good
them.
luck this weekend too.
Let's go Breakers. And if people want to follow you or get involved with the Breakers from a sponsorship point of view, what's the best way for them to reach out?
So our Instagram, Breakers_MLP, is the best way to follow the Bay Area Breakers and everything we do. That's probably our primary media outlet. And contact information is all there. So just go to @Breakers_MLP.
Sounds good. Well, we will be following you. Hopefully down the road, we can kind of catch up again and talk about how the season's going and all the future plans.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, everyone that's listening, for joining us on Third Shot, where Brigie and I will continue to share our pickleball journey, as well as have fantastic guests just like Geoff and Scott in future episodes. Please, if you are in the Bay Area, even if you're not in the Bay Area, come up to the Bay Area and check out the exhibition match this weekend, May 25th at 11 a.m. at the Hub in Alameda. I promise you are going to have a great time and see some high-level pickleball. And you can support this show by subscribing, and we promise to have more amazing guests just like Geoff and Scott on future episodes. Let's continue to share our enjoyment for the game and grow this pickleball community together. See you next time on Third Shot Podcast.